All right. We back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on? It's your boy Troy.
It's your boy Sean.
Hey, and we back tapped in again.
We tapped in.
Very excited tonight, man. We have a very special guest here with us today. I'm going to introduce Pastor Cornelius Thomas.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
No doubt, man. We appreciate you coming, man, to chop it up with us tonight, man. And what's the name of your church? Shout them out, man. Shout them out.
Listen, my name is Pastor Cornelius Thomas, man. Our church is Restoration Community Church, RCC. You know, we right here in Seaford, Delaware. That's 206 North Market Street, Seaford, Delaware. You know how we do. 19973.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, that's a promo if I ever heard one right there. That's a good promo right there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, as always, we appreciate y'all tapping in with us. Like, comment, share, get the word out. We got a guest on here today. We still same content, but we just bringing somebody to give a different perspective. For us, it's all about, being husbands, fathers, men of God, and just trying to give, this generation a different way to look at things. Some people might not have a father figure or, a role model that, can speak wisdom into their life. And so that's what we want to do. We want to be able to pour into the people that, just happen to find us. And, we just want y'all to make sure y'all get the word out and get us up on this algorithm, man. Get us up on this algorithm. Let's go.
Yeah, I know what was trending real heavy this week, man.
Go Birds!
Go Birds! Okay, I got another Eagles fan up here with me today.
We need y'all to go ahead and push this podcast.
Hey, come on, man. Can we get a tush
y'all go ahead and push this thing.
Hey, man, listen. How did you feel, man, watching the game, getting right to the end? Did you have faith all the way to the end?
Man, I was messed up, man. Oh, man. First quarter, first half, man. I was standing in front of the TV like, come on, boys, we got to do better than this. I had people calling me, my son calling me, Dad, what's going on with him? Man, I said we was trying to lose the game, man. But I think somewhere, man, faith kicked in.
Yeah.
That's what happens on this journey, right? Somewhere faith kicked in. Nick took them boys to the locker room and they came out looking different.
Oh, yeah. They got away from that run, man, and start throwing that ball. And man, I would like to see a whole lot more of that too, man. Because he can throw the ball. Jalen can throw the ball. He can get him there.
They can cut him loose now on offense, man. They can go ahead and just ask him, look, what you seeing? Just let him start calling some plays out there, man. He done showed you he can do it.
Right.
Because they had to ask him at halftime, what are you seeing?
Right.
Let me throw this thing.
They got to treat him like they did Tom Brady.
That's it.
He's proven, right?
Right.
What? He done been to 2 Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Right?
This early in his career.
This early in 3 years, 4 years?
Oh, yeah.
He's proven, right?
Yeah,
I don't care what rank you put him in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got him down at 19, but don't matter. But all he do is win.
Yeah, all he do is win.
So with Tom Brady, when him, Eli, Peyton, they all had the ball in their hand.
Green light, right?
They had the green light. They got to cut that man loose. Yo, this your team, man.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Right?
For sure. That's what they got to do. So I'm gonna stay kind of quiet to today. You know what I mean?
Talk about
the Ravens,
man. Man, it's frustrating, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man.
It has to be, man. Because it's high-powered offense.
Man, we got a high-powered offense, but now our defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
Like we scoring 40. But they scoring 42. Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
And
then it's the same thing kind of that happened. I keep saying over and over again at the end of games, it's almost like they shrink the playbook, right? Yeah. And they start being conservative instead of playing how they got the lead and how they dominated the game. It's almost like they playing like they're afraid to lose, right? Instead of, just going after the win. And so, I think, some of that is starting. And then we've been making a lot of turnovers.
Man,
costly turnovers. And I think that's, again, reminding these guys of what happened last year, in the championship game. turning the ball over. Like, no, we can't do that. And they had that. They've been sitting on that the whole summer.
Yeah.
And then to come back these last couple of games and lose the games because of turnovers. It's got to be playing into the mental. But we gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it. It's the same way we started last year.
You got to. We gonna get in the nitty gritty, man. Week 5 and 6. That's when you really start to see things shape up, man.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to spiritualize everything, but I seen something spiritually in both of the teams, right? No matter how you started, right? No matter with the Eagles, right? No matter how you started, you could have had the worst 2 quarters ever, right?
Right.
But there's a halftime coming. You know what I mean? So them boys went in a halftime, right? They got it together. They came out just like us as men, right? And then when we think about the Ravens, I don't know about you, you know, I'm not a Ravens fan, but I see them blowing people out. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So the world might be sleeping on you, right? Or that other team might already be down by 17 points. You might be down by 17 points. Everybody done clicked the channel off. They done went to sleep on you. But when they wake up in the morning, they're going to be surprised. You done came back, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, that's motivation. That's motivation. I like
sure,
don't call it a comeback.
No, he must have been in the locker room. That's what happened.
I try to get him to fly me. I try to get him to fly me in.
I know that's right.
Nick Sirianni, come get your boy.
Yeah.
Well, so look, that's kind of a good segue because I mean, they got to help each other out. They got to pull together when they get in there at halftime, and they got to work together towards a common goal. You know, and so like sometimes I was looking at a post, and you know, the guy was saying you can always find somebody to help you when you're on the journey where you kind of working your way up. You're not at their level. You might even be at their level. But then when you start to really get motion and what you're doing looks like it's special, it's hard to find that those people that even have the capability of helping you that want to actually help you.
Yeah.
And so like, what do you think the root of that is? That the people that would have helped you along the way, all of a sudden, like, oh, they don't need me no more. They got it. They good.
From my experience and from what I see, it could be one or two things. Definitely could be a deep-rooted jealousy because people are okay with you growing but not surpassing them. You know what I mean? Because some people don't believe. I think I seen somebody, your wife might have posted that, like lighting one candle doesn't make the other one go out. But some people don't understand that. They feel like if you shining, then their light is dim. So they won't help, take you to that next level. Or sometimes it could be like people help to get you started to a certain place, but then it's always that next person that's coming up. So we're going to pull our resources and start helping this other person because you got it now. And then some people look at that because some people, even in family structures, some people will look at like the person that seems to have it all together, like they got it, even though they still need help. You know what I mean? It might not be financial help, but sometimes you still need somebody to call you, still encourage you, do something. But I feel like because you're you standing tall in the family, he don't need anything. So nobody's checking on you. And I don't think it's intentional. It's just one of those things.
And I think some people don't realize, like, when you get to that place, that's when it's the loneliest, right? Yeah. Because you're getting around people that maybe you weren't around before that really, you really don't know what their intentions and their motives are. You don't know if you can trust these people. You don't know, you know what I mean? You just don't know why they're there then. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's, it helps to have the people around you that know you the best because they know they've seen you struggle. They've seen you when you've been stressed out, when you have a lot of pressure, and they know what to say, and they know how to pick up on those mannerisms and stuff. And they might be the ones that can help pull you out of that rut, even though on the exterior, everything looks great. On the inside, you're a mess. Right. You just don't feel like you align. But the other thing I think it is, I think when you start to, when somebody gets to a place where the thing that they said that they were going to do actually happens and it has so much momentum, I think people almost get discouraged because they see you operating in your purpose,
Mm.
right? And it reminds, and all of us have a purpose,
Mhm.
right? And I think it reminds them that they not operating in their purpose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
just because I'm successful in this thing over here, there's something that you were created to do
No doubt.
that you're gonna have that same level of success in.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say success because people are gonna associate success with money, fulfillment.
Yeah.
You're gonna have that
Absolutely.
same fulfillment,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? That
Mhm.
thing that you get up when you go to sleep, you're thinking about it. When you wake up in the morning, you're
Right,
thinking
yeah.
about it.
Mhm.
You know that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm. It's
Um,
purpose. Yeah.
that's purpose. And I
Mhm.
think like when people see that, it's just it's hard for them to accept it because they haven't accepted it for themselves yet.
So I think most of it is out of self-preservation. You
Okay.
know, I think, most people feel like, man, if they lend to you, then they're gonna be out. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or like you said, they're like you'll outshine them. You
Mhm.
know. But is it just in our culture though? Is it because like even as my approach to ministry, like right, we started and we ain't had too much help.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We needed fold up chairs because we started outside. We couldn't even get the churches to give out, fold up chairs.
Wow.
But what I found out outside of our race that they were more willing to help. I have a pastor friend as a mentor, Pastor Mike. Big shout out to Pastor Mike Rittenhouse in Delmar. He pretty much pulled me and my wife in, man, and just pretty much gave us the playbook. There we go back to the Eagles again, right?
But
He gave us the playbook, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And he said, the more people you win into the kingdom, the more the kingdom is populated.
Mm-hmm.
He's not worried about us shining here in Seaford or people coming from Delmar,
Right.
right? So I sometimes with that I wonder if it's a culture,
Yeah.
a culture thing.
I think that has a. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's just because a lot of us come from a place of lack. We don't come through from a place of like plentifulness or prosperity.
Right.
We a lot of us was raised off of survival and struggle, so it's like we can understand if I give my time, if I'm not building mine, we don't know what tomorrows are gonna look like. So it's a sense of fear, you know what I mean? If I donate too much, what if I need it tomorrow?
Right.
Who can I go to ask for? And I don't think it's always from a selfish place, like you said. I think it's just self-preservation. But what we're not understanding is what I've learned. I want everybody around me to be successful, because if I do fall on that lean time, now I'm around all successful people where I can circle back and say, hey, man.
Right. Yeah, I need some help.
Yeah, so it's simple.
Yeah. And so I totally agree with that. But I do think the traumas that have been passed down to us, from coming from a place of not having, to having to operate in a system that wasn't set up for us to be successful, to have to fight to get everything that we want, to have to figure out and be helped by someone who may not look like us to let us know how things really work, so that we can accomplish the dreams that we want to. It's no different than, I tell people all the time, that was the reason why I got into real estate, was because I watched my parents go through buying a house, and it just seemed like that it was an emotional turmoil for them, and they felt like nobody was really helping them, and they felt like everybody was against them. And some of that was because lack of knowledge and understanding how the system actually worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Some things everybody had to jump through those same hoops, but then some things could have been, where people actually wasn't really trying to help them. Right. And so my thing was, I wanted to kind of pull the curtain open, see what was behind the veil, see how that thing really worked. And then I could go back and say, hey, look, this is how you do it. Or that same thing that would have happened no matter what race you was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's just the system itself. And so sometimes it's because we operate in a system that we didn't build. I think that's where that frustration or that, not wanting to help because you're afraid that it's going to take from you. I think like that's kind of rooted in.
And you have to have a certain trust level, man. I know my very best friend, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, I sold them all their houses, right? And all they had to do was trust. Like, trust me. I said, look, I remember we had a seminar and I told my best friend, I told him to come. I said, just do everything we tell you to do, and you'll be in the house. And he did every single thing. And I think certain people, man, like, they have trust issues. They're like, oh, this joke. If you're not calling them every day, if you're not telling them the play-by-play, that's why you'll lose some of that help at too. Because they say, oh, he got a check over here. He didn't tell me he would, and they start pocket watching and doing that. But if I say that you're gonna be with me, you're gonna be with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we need it more than ever, man. We need people that's gonna help along the journey, right? We got a whole nother generation. And it's not like, yo, I get mine, I'm good. We got to educate these young ones. I'm glad you guys are in real estate, as in, educating us on how to finance is what the dollar does in our community, you know what I mean? Because it's needed now more than ever,
right?
And man, even as a church, like, we need those ministries that started from the bottom, that worked their way up, that prayed their way up, that fasted their way up, that gave their way up, to come back and tell us how to do it. Because in our field, the more people impacted, living purpose, being fulfilled with their God-given calling, is the better we all are. And that transcends beyond any race group or anything. Each one, we got this motto there at the church: each one reach one, each one teach one, each one lead one. If you go get one, if I go get one, if Sean go get one, and our ones go get one, man, we can start a cycle that, man, when our great grandkids live on this earth, that there's already a working system set up for them. And that's my goal, man. I got grandkids now, right? I'm a pop now. Right. And I look at my grandson and my granddaughter. I like, man, I want something better for them.
Right.
So
that leads me into the other question. I mean, obviously you're doing a lot of things here in the community. So what is your vision for your church, and what are you seeing in the community that you feel like is lacking and that it needs, and that you guys are looking to fulfill that void? That's good. Well, I talked with a few people here in the community, and actually, we want to pastor the community. Okay. We don't want to just pastor a building. That's why, we go hard. We out here on the streets. We're doing different things. We're sitting down in people's houses and we're telling them the gospel. When we look at Jesus' motto as the gospel, he went to where the people were and he strengthened the people. He talked to the people. He healed the people right there on the street. So our vision is, man, just to be a community church. Okay. We provide different things. Of course, everything we do is spiritual, but we provide record expungement. For them cats that's been locked up. I've been locked up, right? And I remember getting out, man. Ain't nobody really want to touch me.
Yeah.
I was going to prison ever since I was 13, and trying to shake that past, I'm changed on the inside, right? But ain't nobody really want to deal with me, And so our job is to help lighten the load. So I say, our church, we want to enrich the soil that God planted us in, instead of stripping the soil from all of its nutrients. We want to spend money here in Seaford, right? And Laurel, all up and down Western Sussex County. We want our money to populate and spend right here. We want to help people get in homes, and that's why we partner starting in October with the organization called Network Connect. Network Connect, they help single parents. They help people get into homes. They help them children that's going to Stevenson House. It's an outside network, but they already come in with a team. They said they were looking for a place to host its Sussex County site. And they said, man, we want to use Restoration Community Church because of what we're already doing in a community. Awesome. That's why we partner with Cold Purple in December. We can't end homelessness without getting involved in homelessness. So
Come
starting
on.
December the 1st, our community center will be the site for Cold Purple, where the men in our communities won't never have to sleep outside
Wow.
from December through March the 15th. You know,
Right.
they'll always have a cot somewhere warm. You know, we're praying that the community come alongside. There we go about helping each other on the journey.
Mhm.
You know, the community to come in and whatever assets they got, help them with jobs. You know, a lot of people out there on the streets, man, they're not asking for a handout. Some of them
Mhm.
just asking for a hand up.
Right.
You
That's
know, and that's what Restoration Community Church want to be. You know, we want to partner with real estate so we can have those seminars to teach people. First time home buyer is the thing. When we first bought our house, we ain't know nothing.
Right.
You know, matter of fact, I wish we had you sitting at the table, because quite frankly, we got jacked. You know,
Mhm.
we got
Yeah.
we got sucked into an upside down loan, you know, that we had to climb our way out of. So you know, we just want to partner. You know, we want to do different things in the community. Like we just had an open mic night, man, a Christian open mic night. Scribe was on the set with us, right? And man, we had poets. We had the
Oh, yeah, it
number
was
one
awesome, man.
gospel rap artist right here in Seaford,
Wow.
Delaware, man.
Yeah,
he
it
came
was-
and lit it up, man.
I
You
know
know.
I know Troy said somebody lit up the stage on him. He was like, man, I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. And so that's the goal, you know. Every event we do is spiritual. You know, we're spiritual. We can't separate that,
Right.
you know, but we don't have a lot of church services. You
Okay.
know, we rather be out in the community doing things, you know. We celebrate our 4th year anniversary this Sunday coming
Wow,
up.
congratulations.
My pastor be in town, you know, and right after that, we do right what Restoration Community Church do. We already got grottos locked down because the
right.
Eagles play, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All
okay.
you can eat pizza. If you're in the community, come on out. All you can eat pizza and drink. You know, adults is $13.99. Kids
You gotta
is
be Eagles
$12.99.
fan.
That's one of the rules. nah, but yeah, but we just want to partner, right?
Right.
So we're looking for partnership. Hey, if you got a church out there and y'all want to evangelize, knock on doors, pray for people, man, that's what we're about.
Right.
You know, that's what the gospel is. You know, we're not trying to make a name. We're not trying to make ourselves known, right?
Mhm.
But we're trying to make him known.
Absolutely.
You know.
So
I got-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, man. I'm veering off just a little bit because I mean, I heard you just talking about the community, bringing people in off the streets and things like that. And as a pastor, where would you say? Because when you bring them in, like you say, they're not all bad people, and they want to work and things like that. But what I've noticed amongst the homelessness is mental health, mental health challenges.
Yeah.
And I know being a pastor, you can talk to them on a spiritual level, but where do you place the mental health at? Like how do you think those things go hand in hand for that spiritual thing and the the mental health?
Right. So they both run parallel. You know, the Bible says, and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. There's different things about being filled in your mind. But, you know, with mental health, we got counselors, man. You know, we got counselors. You know, we partner with Cold Purple. Cold Purple partners with Love Inc. Love Inc. provides case workers. So it's connected all the way through.
Okay.
So we don't want to just give you a hot in the cot, and then after that, you right back.
Right.
For
right.
years,
You know,
that's what that was missing.
Yeah, that's what missing.
Yeah.
So we partner with other organizations, Redemption City, who offer more of a long-term betting. And so that's the goal now. So as we're opening up our doors, God's opening up our hearts and our mind, like, hey, how can our goal is to get at least one person not to repeat this pattern next year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Set a modest goal. So we deal with mental health, man. You know, there's vets out there sleeping on the streets.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so we want to just help, man, any way we can.
And it's crazy because it gives me another question. So now I got two. Is because that was the one thing, you know, like when I grew up in church, most of us grew up in church. It was like, you know, the prayer, the fasting, you know, the healing, the deliverance part of it. But sometimes people really just need it. They need actual clinical help.
Yes.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they had the transformational experience. They had the encounter with God. They believe in Jesus and who he was. But on a day-to-day basis, they need to be talking to somebody, or they might need to have some kind of medication and stuff like that. And it's good to hear that you guys are putting the both of them together and recognizing that. But you had touched on something a while ago when you were talking about the vision for Restoration Temple or Community Restoration Community Church. And you were saying that you want to be out in the community more than you want to be in the church.
Yes, sir.
Was that always the vision, or did that come as you started serving the community?
Man, that's just how God created me. Our church is founded off an evangelistical call, is to go out. We started in Gateway Park, out in the open. Before then, we were preaching over at Love Inc., serving meals and everything. So that's just where we've always been, is out in the community. And I tell you the truth, man, we're building the church now to where someone else can take it over. Like, my passion is to be in the prison, right? To talk to these cats. That's where I came from. My passion is to be over here at some of these hardcore areas, Chandler Heights and stuff. That's where I came from. Then,
right?
I've been out there in that. And there's a scripture, and I don't want to get too scripturally, but I think it's Acts 26, verse 16. Paul was giving his testimony to King Agrippa, and he said he had this encounter with Christ. He said Christ spoke to him. He said, "But rise, stand upon your feet, for I've appeared to you for this reason, to make you a minister and a witness, both on the things on which you have seen and on the things on which I will show you." He said, "I've delivered you from the people, religious people, and the Gentiles, the people that look like you." He said, "Unto whom I now send, so that they might have forgiveness of sins, and that they might be delivered from Satan and translated into the kingdom of God, and have an inheritance among those who are being saved." So our whole thing is go. Get out into the streets. Even Bible studies, like, we don't preach our Bible studies. We started off with one table, right? 1 6-foot table. Now it's 5 tables out, and we sit down, we open up the scripture, we have conversation about the word. The only way to grow is in that classroom setting.
Right.
And all we want to do is make disciples and see them disciples go out and live to their fullest potential, right? And the same way, we want to train them up inside, so that releases me outside. I already got on my calendar starting in January, and this is just a faith move that, man, I'm gonna be in the prison the 3rd Sunday of every month. And God says, start setting up the house to where we got a minister or elder preaching every Sunday now, so that when that happens, it's already
in position.
Right.
And that's it, Sean. That's it, Troy. Man, I can care less if people know my name. As long as you know the work that's getting done right here in Seaford, Delaware.
And we applaud that, man.
Thanks. We appreciate that, man. We definitely appreciate that. Yeah.
So man, getting back, man, to to a board here,
preach
man.
up in this bag.
Holy good stuff, man. So Sean shared something with me this week, man, and it was a guy. He was saying how a lot of things are not necessarily out of order, but he was saying that a woman is not supposed to go out and find her husband. Like, she's supposed to get discovered. We know that, the scripture said, if a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So do you feel that it should be done in that order, or?
Man, that's a loaded question, right? Because obviously when we take the text for when it was written at different times, right? Now we put a high demand on our women these days in our society. We place them in the marketplace. We place them out doing different things. Back then, when this scripture was written in Proverbs, a woman had one assignment.
They was out of sight.
And then even when we look at the age that the text was in, actually the father would give his daughter away. There's a lot of things that take place. I don't know about that. Can I get back with you? Can I take a right? But let me tell you this though: when we do it in sequence, the way that God ordained it, then God blesses it. you know, no matter how much a woman achieves in our society today,
Mhm.
she will never take that headship
Mhm.
as a husband.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Right.
Now single mom doing it, holding it down, we applaud you, right? We
Right,
applaud
right,
you.
for sure.
No doubt.
But married mom, married wife, you know, we submit under that headship, you know.
Right.
I know me and my wife, we found each other, man. We wasn't in church at the time, man.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
I laid eyes on her and I just said, hey,
All right.
you know what I mean? And then God blessed it, man.
Yeah.
You know, so God works in mysterious ways, man. You know, before we say God won't, God can't,
Mhm.
you know, he can do anything.
Right.
You know, so
So I would say for me, I think there's a little bit of both going into it, but I really to me, I really do believe that it's the attributes and the character of a woman is what piques a man's interest,
mhm.
right? And it could be good and it could be bad, right?
Mhm.
So if a guy is looking for somebody that's going to make life sweet, you know, going to take care of him or something like that, guess what? He gonna look for a woman with those attributes where she want a man to take care of,
Yeah.
and he gonna just be that, right?
Mhm.
But if a man's looking for a woman that he can build with, he's
It's
gonna be
different.
looking for a woman with those attributes.
Uh-huh.
So I think no matter what, because I think that a woman, she it's always gonna be a man that it's always gonna be a man that want a woman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
She just got to be in the right place.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's guys out there that, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but women not choosing them.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a man that's going to choose that every woman every day,
Every day.
Right.
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day,
Mm. Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I know, man. Like when you know, man, I know you guys been married for quite a while, right? I've been
Mhm.
married going on 24 years.
I've
man.
been married 27.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so when me and my wife got together, I wasn't a godly man.
Mm.
Yeah. Me either.
Matter of fact, I want to argue that she helped shape me into the godly man that I am today.
All right.
Right,
You know
right,
what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
Yeah.
You know, she helped shape me,
Right.
you know, into the godly man that I am today.
Mhm.
You know, so you know, no matter once again, we started off with the Eagles. We said no matter how it start,
Mhm.
you know, it's the finish that we're looking at,
Mhm.
and we had a horrible first half. Man.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
She had to give you that pep talk at halftime.
yeah. No, but you know, she asked me a question. She said, "Hey, do you ever go to church?" You know, and it's funny, you know, being a pastor now. You know, I don't go to no church. All them hypocrites in there. I ain't going up in there.
Right.
And I woke up 2 weeks later and said, "Let's go to church, man." Y'all gave my life to the Lord.
Wow.
I proposed to her, man. I woke up one
That
morning.
same Sunday?
No,
Oh, okay.
2 weeks later.
Okay.
I woke up. By then, you know, in 2 weeks, she already moved in with me. I already had my own place, right?
Okay.
But I woke up, man, and just really felt the conviction from the Holy Spirit, like what we're doing is wrong.
Mm.
You know, and I told her, I said, "Hey, you know, we got to practice celibacy. You know, just what we're doing is not right." So we was together for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
Planned out a wedding, got married in 7 months, and it's been 24 years.
Wow.
You know, but she helped pull out them godly qualities
Right.
that was already in
Mhm.
there. You know, man, when you find a good woman,
Mhm.
man, that the
Oh,
Bible, when we finish that scripture, he says, "And obtain favor from the Lord,"
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
You know,
That's it.
so you know, that's a sticky topic right there.
Yeah,
You
yeah. So that leads me.
know?
That leads me is can you measure the greatness of a man or the godliness in a man by the happiness that his wife has?
Can I take
Not-
this around?
Not Not-
you go
not
ahead.
necessarily when they together.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But when you see her
You
in and around
that's good.
town with, you know, when at the grocery store, the way she interacts with people, the way she
Mhm.
treats people, do you think that's a reflection of the man? Not a reflection of the man, but the peace that she has at home.
Yay and nay.
Okay.
Yay and nay. Only reason I say this because I still feel like everybody is personally responsible for their happiness. That's my opinion. I don't feel like people can make people happy because we got so much eternally going on. I can front like I'm happy in front of you, but when you're away from me, you still might be frustrated or whatever you're dealing with internal. I think a great man can provide a safe space for a woman to feel free and enjoying her happiness. You know what I mean? So she can let her go down. She don't have to be so uptight, things like that. But I don't think it's the two like kind of coincide because I've seen mild mannered, quiet because some people think great men has to be like boisterous or loud. I've seen some quiet, calm men, and the women, man, they see them out eating dinner or something. Take this back. Yeah. She just, you know what I mean? And on the outside, she's not looking like a happy woman, but she's a well-kept woman. That man is powerful. He's a great guy. So I don't think it's a reflection of him.
See, man, I'm gonna disagree with that because I think if he is providing that peace, right? I think it allows her to be able to search herself for the things that she's not feeling the best about. Maybe she's insecure. Maybe there are things that he's noticed that, for example, hey, hon, like, why do you treat the waiting staff like that? You know, they people just like you. They just try and do their job. And I think over time, giving the peace, allowing her to be herself, allowing her to be able to grow, to be able to figure those things out. I think when you have a man that sets the kind of table for you to be able to explore yourself, to be able to grow, I think in turn that woman does become a happy person. And I think it's a total difference than trying to put on like you have. I think it's just a piece that you just move with.
You asked, did it help
Can you tell
the man's greatness?
Yeah.
No. And I'm okay. Now I'm going to say flat out no. You know why?
Okay.
Because I just thought about it. Back in the day, big mama, grandma, laughing, smiling, cooking dinner for everybody. Her no good husband, then been out all night on town, out on the town, spent all the money, did everything. And when you see Miss such and such, she's still the sweetest lady ever. She's still going to give you everything she has. That man is not a great man, but she's just a happy person because she's a happy person.
I get you, but man, I gotta go with Sean on that. You look right because, like, even when you think about the, everybody talk about when we talk about, the virtuous woman, right? Proverbs 31 woman. A lot of people miss because her husband sat among kings. It's because her husband was a man of influence. It allowed her to express herself in other ways where she gained that happiness. If you're that man in that house and you're taking care of that woman, I just look at my wife, you're that godly man, let's keep it there. You're that godly man in that house and you're taking care of your wife. You're making sure her spiritual needs are met, right? You're making sure, of course, man, my wife never had to cut the grass in 24 years, right? Take out the trash, you're making sure those things are done. Then you add to her fulfillment, so where she can find that joy, at being her, discovering her. When a godly man will notice certain things about his wife and say, hey, we got to get that fixed. Hey, I'll go sit down with you. We need to go see. We need to go see a therapist. Oh, we ain't supposed to do that as Christians, though, right? We need to go. We need to seek these things out because once again, as a godly husband, your first ministry is your wife. And her happiness means absolutely. I know for me, my wife's happiness means absolutely everything to me. Right. So how can, but then again, that's biblical qualities, right?
Right.
Ephesians chapter 5 tells the wife to submit to her husband, but it tells the husband to lay down his life, have
Absolutely.
that sacrificial, ready to sacrifice himself like Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. So if me and my wife, we look at it like this, we constantly try to look out for each other's needs.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, man, you know, no facade, no shade, man. Yo, we got a good marriage.
Oh, absolutely.
Right,
and it
yeah.
becomes
You
a
know,
competition,
yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
like, a
yeah,
good competition.
yeah.
Like,
So I think if it goes both ways, even in that,
It does. It
You
does.
know what
I
I
think you both looking to fulfill the needs that you see in the other person,
Mhm.
and you're trying. You know, it's not like you're trying to make them happy. Like I agree, you have to be happy with yourself
Mhm.
first,
Mhm.
right? You have to do that self inventory of yourself. But when you have somebody who is studying you as a person and is meeting the needs that you have before you even ask for it, or seeing the needs that you have before you ask for it, seeing the things that could be issues for you before you even realize it yourself. You know, I think that, you know, that in itself allows for growth and allows for, you know, that person to be happy. But you know, I would say going back to Big Mama, like somebody can be just a bubbly, happy personality, but still have that void, right?
oh yeah,
That one thing that's missing. If you ask any of them, if they did have a man and they didn't feel like he was no good, and it's like, were they really happy spending that much time with somebody that they really didn't like?
Yeah, I mean, some people have a good understanding of that unconditional love, man, you know,
True.
and they loyal and they commit, and when they commit for the long haul, you know what I mean? So I think that's what we saw back then. But kind of the
Or did she
just-
do that because he was back in the day, he was the one that was working and she was at home?
that possibly that too.
Nowhere to go.
So, but we're talking from a mature
Yeah,
standpoint now, because
Yeah.
you know we all been in this thing for some time. But now, man, what would you say to the younger couples though, who the guy is out here, maybe he's you know doing all he can do, but he's fighting against influence now too,
Yeah.
because okay, you got a job, you're putting a roof over your family here, you're paying the daycare bills, you know, you're taking your family to church, but hey, you can't go on these trips that this person throwing on Facebook and all this. And when it's almost like you start watching that and you want to desire something else, and it starts to create some type of resentment, and you can have everything that you really need, but you start to get that resentment. And that's what a lot of young couples are dealing with now because of that influence, and it's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think if we go back to helping on a journey, like, you know, helping these young, so we've all been married for quite a while. So we should have a young couple that we're mentoring and grooming. Right. And we're telling them, man, I know when me and my wife first started off, we was broke. You know what I mean? Like, we were broke. You know, we came up, we bought a single wide trailer in Coverdale, man, and they moved that single wide trailer on that lot. And I ain't ashamed to admit it, man. It ain't had no electricity. Our kids was real small. It had the tires still on there. Whenever you walked up and down, it bounced. Man, we bought sticky lights and put on the wall, heated water up. But, you know, as a husband, I felt this need to still provide and protect and try to lead my wife to a place where we're secure. So, man, I remember even having a bucket underneath the trailer, man, right? And, you know, use the bathroom. I had to crawl on my stomach to go get that bucket to take it out to the back, you know, to dump lime on it. And so we got that land situated, you know, of course, the septic put in, the water put in, eventually sold the property, made some good money, moved her into a better home, and we moved up. But like when you got that sacrificial love, man, I believe not only does it trickle down from husband and wife, but it trickles down to our children. So I'm looking at my sons now. And the reason why I said that, I'm looking at my sons now. My youngest son, Steven, got married at 18 years old. Right. He married, got his wife. You know, they had a kid. My oldest son, CJ, got married at 21 years old. Got married, his wife, they got a kid, they got one on the way.
Okay.
And they done better than me because they afforded their wives to stay home.
Oh,
Wow.
Like they're the breadwinners in their household, right? So even in that, right, and what we've noticed is, man, they're paying high rent. So as a godly father, as a husband, you know, we sat down, we had family meetings still, and we pulled everybody in, and we said, hey, listen, you know, our house is big enough now. Praise the Lord, right? Right. We can say our house is big enough now. We don't need much space. So what we're gonna do is, you know, we're gonna put out, you know, a few grand, and we're gonna convert our garage into a 1-bedroom. That's like 800 square foot, you know, open like
studio.
Apartment. And me and your mom gonna move out there, right? And this is what I want y'all to do. We want y'all to move back in here, take over the house. It's like 3,300 square foot inside. So take over the house.
So like that.
Take over the house, right? But the one thing is, you got to put $1,000 up a month. Right.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at a lot of stocks lately, right? So I'm like, man, you know, don't just go put it in the bank, but if you go ahead and invest in stocks, you know, U.S. industry and different stocks like that, you know, man, you're setting a platform that you and your family is going to be all right. I think they said if you put up $100 a month starting at 25, by the time you're 65, you got 1.2 million. You know, and I think, like, going back to that, man, is, hey, let's regroup. Let's not repeat the cycle. Hey, because in our society, we say, hey, you 18, you grown, you gone. Let's pull them back in. You know, I don't need much space now. You know, we fought all our lives to get these big houses and all this, and we found ourselves in the bedroom, in the kitchen, you know,
in the bedroom, in the kitchen.
Yeah. So I think that's the plan, man, that if we can set this thing up, and what that allows me to do, it allows me to mentor them as husbands.
Right.
Right. So,
Right. And see, and the other thing is that, you know, going back to that journey thing is realizing, you know, my grandmother always told me, you know, start small, start with something small so that you can see the growth. Right. You know, so we bought our first house, you know, it was a little rancher, you know, we didn't stay there very long. And then we bought our next house, but just the joy that we felt in accomplishing, you know, those steps, you know, and then, you know, after that, we bought some investment properties and things like that. But, you know, it's understanding that you have a journey. There's things that you have to learn along the way that is going to help you when you get to the place that you're trying to get to, right? Because it doesn't do you any good to take that trip that you really can't afford on that credit card that you really can't afford to pay the interest back on. So now you're taking that trip and you spent $4,000 and you're going to spend the next 10 years paying off that $4,000 trip. So now you're going to pay $50,000 for a $4,000 trip because you're just paying interest on it every month. You know, and so like I think the more, so to answer your question, I think the more conversations that are had like this, the more that the young couples won't get caught up in the Instagram with the algorithm, the algorithm of, you know, look, these people look like us, they doing this, they doing that, but it's like, you don't know really how they doing it. You don't know, you know, if they getting paid to do it.
They're making it look good.
They making it look good. You don't know how much debt they in order to make that kind of thing happen. All you're seeing is just the highlights. Right. And so I think you just need to have more people really giving good advice and good guidance on that, you know, and like when we talk about the credit cards, it's like when you do that, now you gotta, you know, 5 years from now, or when you get to the place where Pastor Cornelius got his kids moving back in, now they're trying to, you know, build their credit up, get their money saved up so they can have a down payment so that they can buy a house. And, you know, even if they save up the money, credit score still got to be right. They got to have, you know, can't have any late payments. Need a couple of credit cards to show that you can manage your credit. You know, I always tell people the first thing especially young couples want to do, the only way that they can show that they getting a little bit of motion, a little bit of traction is going out and buying a nice car.
Mhm.
That nice car sets most young people back probably 5 to 7 years
Yeah.
because
That the income
because
ratio
that
is going to be
income ratio
through.
goes out of whack. So
Yeah.
now that $500 payment, $600-700 payment, I heard some people over $1,000
Yeah.
$1,000 payment. That could have all been used for your mortgage, right? And now you can only use another $400 to qualify for a mortgage. Where if you waited, bought the car, saved up the money, bought the car after you bought the house, the car dealerships don't care what your debt to income ratio is.
Right.
They want to see if you get your credit score and do you have a job you get paid every week. That's all they care about.
That's it.
And so, you know, I would say always, you know, you're starting off, you know, buy something used. You know what I mean? Buy a beater. No, I'm not gonna say buy a beater because you want something reliable to get you back and forth to work. But you want to buy something that's reasonable.
Yeah.
And that you can afford and have a plan. Have a plan before you even buy it.
Yeah.
You know, if you got a car that you're going back and forth to college with now and it's getting you there, the plan should be to keep the maintenance up on that so that you can stack your money for the next 5 years so that you got money to be able to have a down payment to be able to buy a home.
Absolutely. Or just invest if that's not your goal, invest in your business and in your dream, whatever, you know. If you're going to finance something, finance your dump truck, finance, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, but invest in your dream. You know what I mean? Because all that stunting, man, once you start making money, that's gonna come anyway. If that's your, you know, what you're into, it's gonna come. I tell everybody, it's one thing, it's okay to be cool, but don't be a cool fool. That's what I tell my kids all the time. Don't be a cool fool, man. You can be cool, but just don't be a cool fool. Yeah. So, man, this is great, man.
Yeah,
it was great.
Just to piggyback on that though, right? I heard Robert Kowalski. I listened to a lot of his. You know, I read his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
It's the first book I ever read, cover to cover.
Yeah. You know,
other books I would skip a couple pages.
Yeah, but that's a good book. Yeah. But this one video he got out here lately, he said, you know, poor people buy liability stuff. You know, they buy shoes and cars and, you know, stuff like that. But rich people buy assets.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we want to create that generational wealth. Is we want to show our kids, you know, our youth, how to invest in assets, something that's going to pay you. You know, who care you walking around with a $30,000 watch and you know what I mean?
And,
it looks
rent.
good and rent.
Paying $3,000 a month rent.
So I look forward to engaging with y'all more about conversations like this, man. You know, we got a lot of young people coming into the ministry, man,
right?
And they need guidance.
All right,
you know, and as the church, we can only offer our point of view from it. But when we bring realtors in, when we bring people in that deal with that, then we begin to educate. You know, and when we educate, we elevate, right?
Right.
And so that's the goal there, man. Fix that credit. Get that credit back on track.
Get that credit back on track.
We running around with a 300 credit score. We can't
do nothing with it.
We need some work, right?
Yeah, can't do nothing, man. The goal should be you should be at least trying to get to a 680 credit score. If you don't have any credit cards, some of the best places to go to get credit cards would be PNC Bank, Capital One. And actually, I send a lot of people. I tell them to get a Kohl's charge card. You know, they'll usually start you off at about $300. A lot of times, people, you know, they'll read stuff and they'll say, okay, well, you don't want to go over 30% of whatever the value of the card is. But optimal credit utilization is 10%. If you can keep that card under 10% of the value of it. So if you got $1,000 card, you want to keep that balance under $100. That will make your credit score go up higher than anything. And so, you know, if you find yourself in a place where, you know, you might have some student loans and, you know, you got a car payment and you're just trying to figure a way to be able to get your credit score up, you know, those three places, Capital One, PNC Bank, Kohl's, get yourself a revolving credit card, keep that balance low on it. And, you know, over the next 6 months, you could probably see your scores go up 50 to 70 points.
Good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So as always, man, we appreciate the conversation. Pastor Cornelius.
Oh man, thank you for. I mean,
Let's go.
thank you for coming in, man.
Yes,
we
sir.
appreciate
Let's
having
go,
you,
man.
man.
Appreciate you. Thank you
Yeah,
guys
man.
for
Dope
having
conversation.
me, man. Yeah,
Dope
man.
conversation,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
So as always, like, comment, share, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You know where to find us. As always,
Yeah,
tap in.
Stay tapped in.
Peace.
Peace. Bird game.
Bird gang.